No More Deaths and La Coalición de Derechos Humanos present a three-part report series called Disappeared. These two community groups have investigated how U.S. enforcement agencies are fueling a missing persons crisis in the southern U.S. borderlands. On the night of March 6, 2015, Jose Cesario and his two nephews were crossing the U.S.-Mexico border through the Arizona desert. U.S. Border Patrol agents saw their group and began chasing after them. An agent in the helicopter present reported watching as Jose Cesario fell off a nearly 200-foot cliff while running through the darkness. The case of Jose Cesario is not an aberration. Immigration enforcement in the U.S.-Mexico borderlands routinely relies on apprehension methods of chase, causing people to scatter. In these remote and dangerous areas, chase and scatter lead to disappearance and death. U.S. border policy has intentionally pushed migration into remote crossing corridors, employing the hostile landscape to create a potentially fatal crossing ordeal. This policy is called prevention through deterrence. The practices of border enforcement agents examined in this report are the daily acts of cruelty which support this policy by amplifying the physical and psychological harm inflicted on people crossing the border. These acts have contributed to the disappearance of an unknowable number of people. These people have not simply gone missing. When family members call the Derechos Humanos hotline, we most frequently hear them say, "I am looking for a disappeared person." Our data comes from these calls received by the hotline in 2015, as well as a survey administered to individuals who had attempted to cross the border in the last 5 years. Of the chases documented in our survey, 41% resulted in someone being injured by the elements of the terrain they were chased through. Injuries included broken limbs, lacerations, sprained joints, and severe blisters. Injuries and illnesses, even those that are minor, can be fatal when suffered in the wilderness. In 18% of the chases we documented, one or more of the individuals pursued were assaulted by the Border Patrol agents who chased them. Our findings show that U.S. Border Patrol agents are prone to using excessive force in remote areas, especially during chase. People describe tacklings, tasings, and beatings, as well as dogs dragging them to the ground. Border Patrol has a reputation for violent assault, which makes those who encounter agents more likely to run. Even those who are lost, sick, or injured may scatter into the wilderness instead of risking contact with these agents. In turn, we found that agents use excessive force when in pursuit of those who run from their presence. These factors create a cycle of escalating violence. Of the chases we documented in our survey, 42% resulted in someone becoming lost to the surrounding wilderness. Chase by Border Patrol causes migrant groups to scatter. People become separated, disoriented, lost, and often without necessary supplies for survival. Of the cases received by the Missing Migrant Crisis Line in 2015, 84 explicitly named an incident of chase and scatter in the wilderness as the event that caused the person to go missing. Out of these cases, 34% ended in death or disappearance. The use of helicopters in wilderness chase is particularly dangerous. Agents use helicopters to dust groups, causing them to scatter and run. In our survey, 37% of chases involved pursuit by helicopter. When a helicopter was present in a chase, it was significantly more likely that someone would end up lost afterwards. There is no policing method for apprehending migrating people in wilderness terrain that will not entail high risk of injury, death, and disappearance. We will only see the end of this crisis with the end of prevention through deterrence and the demilitarization of the border. Federal immigration policy must be rewritten to protect human life and human rights, and to address the U.S.-sponsored violence and economic disruption causing so many to seek refuge within these borders. Until that day comes, the U.S. Border Patrol and its collaborators bear responsibility for the humanitarian crisis in the southwest U.S. borderlands.
Canta, la tierra canta, vamos luchando porque Cristo sigue aquí. pasito a paso, con la fe en